and cooking it with ghee, like we talked about
Right.
earlier, and
Lactose-free,
lactose-free butter.
right?
It has more of like a rich, like
LFB.
nutty taste.
Okay.
So like if you never had it, it's definitely different than butter. But I think it's really like I've never ever been exposed to ghee.
Ghee?
Yeah,
Is that the stuff they use in jiu-jitsu?
yeah. You just cut off a piece of that. Throw it in there.
Okay, so I think many people have heard of keto. I think many people have.
I feel like it kind of gets a bad rep because it's like classified as a fad,
Right.
and a lot of people think of it that way.
Right.
But I mean, a lot of people get a lot of good results from it.
I mean, bro, nutrition and kinesiology and like that shit's so new anyway that for there to be recurring fads that either come in or come out, I think that's like kind of given with the way that science keeps treading on new ground and new discoveries within like how certain nutrients or foods affect you over long term because they actually have time to perform and execute experiments and be able to actually like garner actual tangible evidence for what certain fads or diets could do for you.
Especially over a long period of time.
Exactly. So I think we're just now starting to actually see things like keto come to the forefront, which could act as the newfound way that as a newfound dietary method that has been presupposed by so much already established scientific methods preceding it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For you, what would you say was the catalyst to like starting keto? How long have you really like been thinking about doing it, and what caused you to finally commit to it? Because today's what, the second day of keto?
Yep.
February
February 2nd. I started
Oh,
yesterday
nice.
on the 1st.
Nice.
So initially I had planned to do it just for a month. And to start it off, I got the idea from our good friend Akam.
Right.
He's done it for like 8-9 months and he lost a good like 25 pounds. He said he feels better. He said he legitimately got good like cognitive benefits from it, which is crazy to think.
Like heightened energy.
Yeah, like
kind of like what people feel like caffeine
Yeah.
or what, like even in a fasted state. We can get into the relationship between a fasted state and how that affects your body, similar to what keto will do for you. But yeah, would you say like I mean, it's too early to tell, but was that one of the things that he felt like with not only cognitive function, but was like a heightened awareness, maybe what was some of the other things you said? Elevated energy. What else?
I mean, so a big reason of why he did it is because he lived his life a certain way for such a long time. And
diet wise, like
yeah, exactly. Not really following or pertaining to any sort of specific dietary guidelines.
Right.
And so he came to the ketogenic diet and like saw these good reviews, like researched a bunch of different doctors, like raving about it and all these like good benefits that people are going to get. He's like, all right, I might as well give it a try. And he, like myself and like you, like we're huge proponents of self-experimentation, which is another reason why like I wanted to do this.
Right. Just to broaden your horizons.
Yeah.
Especially you being a nutrition guy, like you gotta try keto. You gotta go every route to really see what it's about.
Exactly. Like, yeah.
Go every route to see what it's
about. Oh, so initially I was telling you that I wanted to just do it for a month.
Right.
And that was just because in my mind, I was just like, month time frames are pretty good. Just limitations to try anything.
Right.
Because I'm just like, all right, what the hell is a month? You could do anything
what's
for
30
a month.
days?
Yeah.
Right.
28 days low key. But
right.
and then as I did more research and got into it, there's a difference between being in ketosis and being fat adapted. So like when you're in ketosis, that's when your body's blood sugar is low, your insulin is low, you restrict the amount of carbs you intake, and which encourages your body and your liver to produce more ketones. So then your body starts to use those ketones and use fat as a fuel source for the first time. And so you can be in ketosis. That takes a couple weeks, I guess. And plus, when you're intermittent fasting, like how me and you have been doing for years, that helps speed that process up.
Right. Okay. Because when you're intermittent fasting, you're producing ketones no different than when you're in a ketogenic, when you're in a state of ketosis.
Yeah, your body's not getting any nutrients for a minute. So you're like, damn, how else are we going to get this energy?
So for people who intermittent fast, it's safe to say that their body's in a state of ketosis intermittently. Or do they ever reach ketosis? Because
I think that prolonged fast, so maybe like how you do it, maybe like 24 hours and up,
okay,
you start to dip into ketosis.
gotcha, okay,
I think so.
okay,
I'm not really too sure on the literature on that,
okay,
but yeah, I mean,
that makes
the
sense.
thing is though, whenever you're fasting and then when you eventually do go back to eating, you get that insulin spike, and most people are those meals are consisting of carbs,
Right.
so that's kind of like dipping you back out of ketosis.
Because all that glucose in. You're
Yeah,
right.
but then again, when you go back on that fast, it dips you right back in.
Okay. So what's the fat adaptive?
So being fat adapted is where your body prefers to run
Ketones.
on ketones,
Right.
and it will be able to look for the ketones over the glucose.
So and that's where there's almost a malleability in your body's. There's a malleability in your body's ability to switch between either operating off of ketones or glucose.
Exactly. And
Gotcha.
that increases what's called your metabolic flexibility, which is exactly what that is.
Metabolic flexibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's
The adaptability of the metabolic flexibility. Okay.
yeah, low key. But yeah, and that's just something that my body has never ever experienced is running off of ketones for a prolonged period of time.
Gotcha.
So when you fast, you can dip in and out of ketosis, but in order to sustain ketosis for a prolonged period of time, you have to undergo a ketogenic diet. Like that's just a
Gotcha. And that's why you're saying the only way other than that is to maybe do prolonged periods of fast. But even then, you break ketosis, so you don't really get the long lasting benefits of what ketosis could provide.
Mhm.
Let me ask you this: are you going to implement any form of intermittent fasting with your ketogenic diet?
Yep. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep the same.
What's the window you?
So I typically will break my fast between noon and 2 o'clock,
Okay.
and then I'll have 2 meals a day, one during that period, and then one at like 7 or 8 o'clock, because I go to sleep pretty early. I go to sleep at like 10 or 11.
Okay.
So I don't really like to eat like soon before I go to bed,
Right.
and I don't like to drink soon before I go to bed. I feel like that just kind of keeps me up. But yeah, I feel like for the first 1, maybe 2 weeks, I will stick to the 2 meals a day.
Okay.
But another thing with the ketogenic diet is it will running off of fat and having a high fat diet will make you feel less hungry just naturally. Right. And so I think that by week 3,
you'll kind of veer into like a 1 meal a day, you think?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Like an OMAD.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's important that
keep interrupting you. My bad.
No, you're good.
Okay.
It's important that the ingredients that you choose to eat are nutrient dense. So
right.
like a lot of seeds and like nuts. But then again, I'm gonna be eating vegetables, and then maybe like I'll switch it up day to day, whether that be like chicken or steak or salmon, things like that. I usually try to. Those are like the 3 main meat protein sources I eat.
Okay.
And then maybe on the weekend I'll have like, I don't know, I might treat myself or maybe not stick to the 1 meal a day thing if I feel the need to. Because although I do believe that fasting is the most optimal way to eat during a day and throughout the year, I don't think that it's the best to fast the same every single day.
Right.
I think that it works best when it's in cycles.
Right.
So your body doesn't get too used to one certain thing.
Yeah.
Similar to like when you're working out and like you have the periodization. So like you work your way up in intensity, then you take it back down and you work your way back up.
Right.
To like sensitize your muscles. Yeah. Fasting, aside from the like nutritional and like physiological benefits that it does, like the spiritual side and the discipline side is equally as important and fruitful.
What was the first one of the first things we talked about at the beginning was Occam's clarity, mental clarity, the cognitive, the heightened cognition that he was experiencing being on a ketogenic diet. If you can just omit or decrease the severity of that shitty glucose and that shitty food entering your body, then I agree. You get some of those same, especially during keto, you get some of those same being without feeling, let's say, as you do on keto, as you do on fasting. And so when you're like when you're on keto and you get the keto flu, is that what they call it? That keto flu is very parallel to the symptoms of the starving ass feeling being on fasting. You know what I mean? And that again goes back to the being without and forcefully indulging the being without. So,
and a big thing I think with the keto flu is it happens at the exact time that your body is now transitioning from primarily using carbs as a fuel source to switch into using fat as a fuel source. It's like, what the hell is it? Like, damn, bro, we've been running on carbs for decades.
We
Like,
get this
why?
clean keto right here.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like, what the hell? Like, what do we do with this fat? But it's like your body is very complex and it knows exactly what to do. Your brain just takes a minute to catch up with that.
Right.
But I think now, especially with all of the firsthand experiences and all the people that put their content out, like the dude Thomas DeLore on YouTube, like that dude is so knowledgeable.
Right.
Like, if you're gonna start keto, like just go watch his videos. You'll know exactly what to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Infinite information out there to start anything and everything.
it's just like people like him, they make it so easy for people like me
Right.
to go and feel confident in undergoing something like a ketogenic diet.
The professionally heated guidance, step by
For
step,
free.
for free.
Free.
Right. That's all we're trying to do is relay the genius that was given to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
So it's crazy how fortunate we are, man, with the internet. And
so okay, when it comes to keto, you started what is day 2 on keto, February 1st.
yep, I started on February 1st. So this is just another experiment that I wanted to go through. I had never done a keto diet before. I've heard about it a lot. You've heard about it. I went out and actually did some research on it. So I had this idea. It sparked at the beginning of the year, but I wanted to do my due diligence before actually going and leaping into it.
Right. You want
So
to make sure you had all your ducks in line before you started. Like, really, you don't want to just blindly jump into a ketogenic diet
exactly.
or
Because-
anything.
Yeah, for real.
Right.
And it's if you go in and do it and you just think, oh, okay, high fat, no carb,
Right.
then you start eating a bunch of shit that just has high fat in it and
Right.
no carbs. But are these things actually good for you?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't really know.
Right.
But initially I wanted to do it just for a month. But then as I got to learn a little more about the ketogenic diet and the benefits of ketosis, say like an athlete that's on keto is about to go do a powerlifting meet.
You can eat those carbs, but because your body's not depending on those carbs, it can burn through them, quote unquote, cleanly, rather than depending on them and storing them as fat and insulin.
And that's the good thing is he or she can actually carb load for that meet.
Right.
Use those carbs for that high intensity,
right.
short, duration work,
And it'd be beneficial
and it'd be beneficial, and then go back right to the ketogenic diet.
because of that flexibility in the fat adaptedness.
Exactly. Your metabolism becomes more flexible. Your body is able to recognize ketones and glucose as
right.
two energy sources.
Right.
And so,
But when it's fat adapted, it's more prone to depending on or using ketones as a source of fuel, correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Do you expect a physiological difference in how you will appear after doing keto for a month?
So I know that with keto is an implied weight loss.
Right.
So
Especially
a lot of
water
exactly
weight,
a
right.
lot of people jump on the ketogenic diet to lose weight.
Right.
And initially it is a lot of water weight, and that's because with the carbs that we typically consume,
Right.
for each like gram of carbs, your body holds anywhere from like 2 to 3 grams of water.
Right.
So when you deplete all the carbs in your body and the glucose in your body, and your blood sugar lowers and stabilizes,
Right.
you lose a lot of that water, and you
Right.
lose a lot of electrolytes and all those minerals that go with it. And so that's why initially people will experience what's called the keto flu.
Which is the same sort of like starving feeling people fasting feel in a way, in the sense that your body's depleted of certain nutrients that it's otherwise used to getting
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like, what the hell? Where's all this shit?
Where's the shit at?
Yeah,
Right.
And it's the transition phase from when your body is now going to begin using ketones as a fuel source.
It goes through that fluish.
Yeah, yeah. So 2 days in, some people experience it within the first week. I haven't experienced anything different.
You also have a presupposed nutritional foundation, though, that's more optimal than most people anyway. So it would make sense if you didn't feel any sort of
Yeah.
like real difference.
For
'Cause
sure.
You also have been fasting and understand the feeling of that lack of that nutritional void, let's say.
Exactly. Yep.
So
Yeah.
a lot of people have, I think, at least heard of keto. And if they haven't heard of keto, they may be aware of a high fat, low carb diet, or like a high protein, super low carb diet.
And for sure, everyone is familiar with a low carb diet. So
I'm not completely sure that everybody's familiar with what a carb is, though. But you know.